Hi, welcome, women. I'm here with Shelly Mullins, and I'm really excited about this conversation today, Shelly, because we are going to be talking about community. I think we're going to be talking about just family and what that means, and that can expand into a lot of different arenas. Um, and I'm just really honored that you took the time to have this call with me. I know you've got a busy, full life that you're tending to, so thank you for making time for this.
Oh, thank you for having me, Katie. This is an honor, and community and family are my favorite things to talk about. So
Yeah,
that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you
good.
for.
You're welcome. Well, okay, then why don't you tell, in case anybody who's listening, they aren't following your life and what it is that you do on a day-to-day, could you tell us, what does your everyday look like? How are you spending your time?
Oh, that's great. Well, waking up, I have three children. So normally I wake up to hearing my teenage daughter
Hmm.
getting ready for the day. And so I go right into mom mode right off the bat. And I'm
Hmm.
up making sure I'm a stylist too. So that
Hmm.
factors into mom. My hair's frizzy, mom. I need to use your flat iron. And so I go into service mode and help
Hmm.
identify with the struggles of an adolescent female getting ready for school. So I go right into helping her get out on her day, and then opening up the farm becomes our next step in unfolding the morning, which is normally checking in with the horses, checking in with the chickens, making
Hmm.
sure the fish, lizards, cats, dogs, everybody is ready to
Everybody's
face the
happy.
day.
Hmm.
Doing a walk past the garden, making sure that the storms of the night before didn't do any damage to any of the crops that are growing, doing a once around the farm, making sure all of the buildings, and we get crazy wind out here, so you never know what you're going to walk out to every morning. Then
Yeah.
coming back inside, making breakfast for the kids, getting everybody out on the bus. And then after that's done, I'll normally go into my apothecary work in the kitchen, start mixing up my salves and lotions and potions and syrups and tonics for all my community. So
Yeah.
um, I'll normally stay in the kitchen working. That's more my fall thing. Summer is
Hmm.
all day outside, all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of put the garden a little bit to bed. Now I'm in the kitchen a little more, doing my medicine work in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Have a little lunch with my husband. Then we'll go into getting ready for the kids to come home from school, handling all of their extracurriculars. And then evening work is normally my service time, when I'll do my volunteer work, do sister circles, Cub Scouts, my
Hmm.
daughters, whatever is going on in the school. I really love to get involved with the community. And I know a lot of women like me feel like black sheep or feel like a little bit of an outcast because we typically don't fit the mold, of
Yeah.
the typical suburban soccer mom.
Hmm.
So I think it's important to embed deep in the community. I like to get into everything that strikes my passion, because
Hmm.
I think it's important that we relate to each other no matter what we look like or what we're into. There's always a common thread.
Yeah.
I like to tell women to find one thing you connect with a woman with and follow that thread. Don't
Yeah.
look for how you're different. Don't say, oh, she doesn't dress like me. She doesn't believe the same belief system. She believes in vaccinations. I don't. She believes in this and I don't. Find that one thing you do believe in together. Like with
Yeah.
Cub Scouts, I love getting my sons out into nature. I love getting them close to the earth. And this is how they love doing it, because there's fire and knives and all the things boys
And
like.
bugs and yeah.
So I can connect with community women who also think it's important for children to be close to nature, who are in my community, who
Hmm.
are in my day-to-day life every day, and we can see each other and be together. And I just focus on the fact that they have their mothers, they're growing their children, we're building this community. I want to be able to say, how's your mom doing? Or how did you like that chili recipe we shared? Or I love to build that web. And so the evening hours are where I like to connect with my community, and through the school too. I love to build network. That's like my favorite thing, is to watch when you connect two women and then go on a road trip together and meet two other women and then they make
Yeah.
a bond.
Yeah.
That's my passion. So you
Yeah.
can tell I'm alive as soon as we start talking about building that web of sisterhood. That's my true calling.
Mm. I love that. Okay, so I want to start then. Let's start actually. I want to start with what you spend your mornings doing with the apothecary work, and then I'd love to talk more about the community. So, it seems like, and I'm just Facebook friends with you. I just love seeing, what it is that you're working on, and it always seems very seasonal, obviously. So, how does that nourish you? It seems like you're very tapped in with the cycles and the seasons and the earth. So, can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, well, before we go right into that, I have to tell you that living close to nature changed my whole life. I love being a woman. And being a stylist kind of led me into an unnatural connection, not unnatural, but a very makeup and hair and high heels. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love dress up. Since I was a little girl, I've always loved being a girl
Uh-huh.
and loving creativity and loving the way somebody feels when they sit down in your chair and you make them beautiful. That really appealed to me. I loved it, called it therapy, where you could take some who was feeling kind of cruddy and
Yeah.
show them what you see when you look at them, transform them in the mirror, and then
Yeah.
watch them glow.
Right.
And I moved on to a farm without any farm experience. I was a salon owner who just loved to garden.
Hmm.
And I moved out 45 minutes away from my community because I was called to space.
Yeah.
And that changed me almost immediately. Our first summer on the farm, I started to feel like makeup was just sweating into my eyes,
Hmm.
and nice clothes were just getting destroyed by dirt and compost and
Hmm.
horse whatever. I slowly started becoming focused on function over form and wanted to have things that made sense and things
Hmm.
that were connected to nature. And over the last 6 years, that has really become my focus. I still love dress up. I still love hair. I still love being a woman, but there's this natural call that happens when you're surrounded by the life cycle
Hmm.
of I was astonished by all of the life and death that was happening all around me, that nothing else really mattered. I didn't care about celebrity gossip. I didn't
Right.
care anymore about what new movie was trending. It became what nest was hatching outside, or who was coming into season, or what crops were starting to sprout. And
Yeah.
so that changed a lot of my cycles. And I
Hmm.
started to notice that every year there was this repetition of, okay, if I make the elderberry syrup before the kids start school, then I send them in with their immune system completely supported,
Yeah.
and I don't end up with that, everybody's sick the first month of school because they're in a tight quarters with 30 other children all day long. And so I started to learn the cycle by living it. And then I started to make little notes like, okay, you harvest the honey when the goldenrod appears. And nature gives you little signals. She'll send up a little golden flower that lets you know the golden honey is ready. And
Hmm.
so that started to kind of become my calendar. That became my to-do list, was watching the plants come up and knowing, oh, when the apples are ready in the tree, it's also time to put the garden to bed. And
Yeah.
there's little things like that. It becomes like a living fairy tale, and
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for more.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I am, yeah, I've got a little garden myself here, and I crave more, even more space. So we're in a very urban setting, but I'm really lucky to have like some dirt in the back that we can work with. And I've noticed that as well. Like now, like for me, it's like when the sunflowers start drooping, then it's like put the garden, then it's, and all of these things where now that we're here a few years, I'm starting to see and listen to some more of those patterns. So I think a lot of women are going to be able to resonate with that. And it's such a homey feeling once you start really tapping into that. It's really, really homey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. Like the last full moon, all of my little local country fishermen were talking about how this past harvest full moon with eclipse was the perfect time to fish.
Interesting.
The fish all come alive right then, and
That makes sense.
Yeah, even nature provides if you just learn exactly when to be at the right time in the right place. And it's like a little secret language that if you can start tapping into, abundance
Mhm.
becomes available. So
Absolutely.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I just had, you'll love the conversation that I had with Lizzie Swartz yesterday because she talks about how abundance really is abundance of the earth. It's really abundance, our abundance guides or angels used to be the angels of harvest,
Mm.
because that's where our abundance was. So it's a beautiful conversation about that I think you'll really love. And yeah. Okay. So what else do I want? What else do I want to talk to you about? Tell us about the apothecary that you have, and when did that begin? And it feels like everything that you create, it is just love. It is just like I've created this from my heart. There's 5 of them available. If you'd like one, they're here. It's not. I love that. I love it when women are doing things in their own way that just comes from birthing something that is just from their heart. So I feel that when I see, and it always sells out like immediately. So every time I see you're like, edit, this is gone. This is gone. We have sold out. Yeah.
I had a family reunion on my farm. I hosted my family, which is the source of all that I am.
Mm.
The whole point of getting this property was to, when my grandmother passed, my matriarch, in a dream, she said to me, "Will the circle be unbroken?"
Oh.
And I know what that was, an old hymn that was important to my family. And she repeated it to me. And I know she was implying, now that she's gone, will our family still circle? Will we still come around without our matriarch? And I hosted our family here this summer to gather everybody. We're a ragtag bunch of all varieties and walks of life. And
Uh-huh.
we were sitting around telling stories, and they were all talking about when I was little, I was infatuated with making potions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like every time we had a sleepover, every time we would gather, I would always go, "Who wants to make a potion?" And it would usually be like salad dressing and toothpaste and mouthwash and I loved mixing things up and watching how they changed their structure and smell and
Yeah.
texture. And then in school, I loved chemistry. I loved science. I loved earth science and chemistry. And I went into hair because there's so much chemistry in hair, and nobody knows it until you start looking at you're mixing a little bit of this and 1 ounce of this, and it creates a completely different color. And
Yeah.
so I've always loved to dabble in science and chemistry, and then you add the creativity of styling and doing hair and being interested in color. And then I became a mother, and health and wellness became really important to me for my babies. And so I really started to think, like, what's in this that I'm giving my child,
Yeah.
and where did it come from, and what was the source? And so it's important to me that I gather the elderberries off of my parents' property, and I harvest the honey from my own hives, and then I take the ginger from my own source. Like, I know where everything is going in the medicine, and then I feel like I have a complete grasp and complete trust and faith in its ability to do what it's prescribed to do. So
Mm-hmm.
when I make these potions now as an adult, it makes me feel good to know that when I pass these to my community, I know the source, I know the love that was put into it, I know exactly the intention, and I can pass it with a whole heart,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it's mind, body, and spirit wellness.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
What do you do? Or maybe, okay, so how do you keep yourself going with all of this that you have I mean, because I can almost feel the women listening being like, how is she doing all of that? But is the act of all of this nourishment in itself, or do you take time specific, like how do you recharge is I think what I'm really asking. Does that look like alone time? Is that circle time? Like what does that look like for you?
Everything that I do is it's a balance of a little bit of service mixed with reward.
Yeah.
Like, I love to, like when last weekend I hosted a Cub Scout event for my community where we went camping. And as much as I had to make the hot cocoa and make the
Right.
s'mores and clean up. Watching my sons run in a pack of wild boys in the woods and knowing those memories and those bonds they're creating, watching that happen, my heart swells. And so when I make, the elderberry syrup, or when I process the honey and somebody takes it and comes back to me and says, in 2 days I was completely well, my cup gets a little more full. Or and I have to be honest, I do what's important to me. I'm not a crazy housekeeper. I'm not a crazy organizer. I do what resonates with me, and I don't apologize for what doesn't. And so some things don't resonate. I'm not a workaholic. I'm not. I will take a nap when I need it. I don't apologize if I'm 5 minutes late because I was taking an important phone call from my mother. And I don't. Everybody has what's important to them, and I only focus on what's important to me. And the things that, I will sleep in on a Saturday morning, or I will take an opportunity to dance all night if I can, even though I know there's something important in the morning. I will take that time to fill my cup. And filling my cup looks like a lot of herbal soaking Epsom salt baths and snuggles in the bed with my husband and later on my family. And I love to sit out on the farm and just take in the sunsets, the weather, get close to my horses, smell their breath. Like the things that make me happy, I make sure are always around. I don't have to travel anywhere to find my bliss. If I need a moment of respite, I can walk out to the pasture. If I need a moment of solitude, I can walk out to the garden. If I need inspiration, I can walk to my beehives. Watching a beehive, all of those women working in complete coordinated, it really does remind me of that Beyonce song that's like, okay, ladies, let's get information. Because these bees are getting information all the time. They're going out into the world, coming back and telling their sisters what's out there, where the food is, what the wind is like, where to find water. And then they do it in perfect formation in this like mathematical equation of genius. These bees work together and they're like 98% female. And so whenever I need sister inspiration, I'll go out to the beehive and watch those women work together in perfect symphonic harmony. And then I go, we can do this. We got this.
Absolutely. Oh, that's beautiful. So, tell me about how do you coordinate circle? Do you have new moon circles? What does that look like for you, for the women to gather around? Is it ceremony? I'm just curious how the women in your area, how you guys gather together.
Sure. I facilitate 2 circles currently. Both very different, which is interesting. I've noticed that the universe will bring you the medicine you need. So my first circle is very fiery because I'm very earthy. I'm a total earth sign. And so sometimes I need that fire because I can get very hermited in. I can make a circle around my farm and be okay for the rest of my life. And so it's important that I leave and I go to circle, and there's these fiery, passionate women who are all about traveling and conquering and this ambitious desire to burn. And so I love that circle. We'll gather, my co-facilitator has a yoga studio. So it's a beautiful empty space so that we have room to dance.
I love that. I love getting in a room where there's nothing.
Nothing.
There's just walls. I love that.
Love the feeling of being in somebody's parlor or living room. I love the yoga studio because we're able to move. We can really drum it out and dance it out when the time calls. So I like to listen to nature. I listen to what's happening on the farm, and I'll talk to my co-facilitator and I'll say, right now on the farm, we're planting seeds. So what seeds are we planting in our life? And let's dig deep into that, and let's go into what, the nurturing. You got to compost your soil before you plant the seed. You can't just throw a seed in and pray. You have to build that perfect foundation and make sure everything's just right, and then lay your seed in. So we have to honor what our soul desires, look deep into ourselves and say, what am I willing to fertilize? How am I willing to nourish this ground before I put in my desire? And so we'll build a circle around preparing to manifest. And what thoughts are you telling yourself? What self-talk are you using? Do you have any anxiety, or do you have any static energy around what you desire? Sometimes I think we make a secret wish, and then in the same breath something says that'll never happen, or you don't have the balls to do that. So I think it's important to listen to nature and follow nature in a symbolic, ritualistic community circle, so that we are in tune, so that when you leave circle, it's not over. You leave circle and nature is over and over again. She's saying yes, yes. Look around you. All those seeds you planted 2 months later are sprouting, and you can look around and you can see a visual representation of exactly what is happening in circle. Yeah. So I love to run off of the wheel of the year. I like to gather about 12 women in a closed circle. I like it to be women from all cultures, ages, shapes, sizes, belief systems. I like to have divorcees with mistresses, with crones, with maidens, with women who aren't mothers yet, with women who are trying to be a mom. I love to have full reflection of the whole circle of womanhood there. It can be tempting to have a circle of your best buddies, and everybody looks like you, and everybody talks like you, and everybody's in the same space in their life. But I don't find that as potent as when you have women who rub some of your triggers, and triggers are an opportunity for growth. So I love to have a spicy circle that represents the variety that we experience as women. So we'll gather in this yoga studio and we'll circle, and I like to create a center altar that represents what we're going through. I like to represent the elements, represent divine creation in whatever form you think. I put a goddess statue, I'll put a harvest statue, anything that represents creation in the center. And then I like to call in the 4 elements and create a sacred container. And to me, that is one of the most important parts of circle, is the sacred container. Having a place where you tell women, you won't be judged here, you won't be interrupted here, you won't be fixed here. Right. This is just an outlet for you to receive reflection, to sit around and hear the voice of our sisters. My favorite message to share with women in circle is that we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. What we do in this circle is not about us. It's about the ripple that we want to send into the entire universe. Yes. So you may think it's just about, what you're feeling, but you don't know if what you say resonates with a woman across the circle who goes home and makes a change in her life that ripples out into eternity. Mm-hmm. So when we tell women, sometimes there's a resistance to go to circle because it's
yeah. Thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah, yes. It's raw. It's very and my co-facilitator and I have talked about medicine and how medicine rarely tastes good. When it's rarely delicious on the palate. It's usually something that you have to take with a little bit of grit, and circle can be that way. And so we like to put a little sugar in it. You like to have a little bit of we know you love to sing, we know you love to dance, we know you love to adorn and smell incense, and all of those beautiful blessings. But there's also some medicine there with sitting and listening to other women's stories without reaction, without trigger, without needing to overreact and interrupt and say, this is what I think you need to do, or this is what I think. To just hold that back and be the observer is potent medicine. Oh, yeah. It's very sometimes women leave circle because they can't do that. I've had one woman in my 4 years of facilitating circle walk away because she wasn't able to give advice. And that's
how women are made, though. What you're setting up, that's how we come into our womanhood. I think is being able to do that, is being able to hold that space, really strongly, and holding back and just witnessing. It's a very, very important service that we can give to each other.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate service, because in life, we're only able to see through our own eyes. And so there's times where I have watched a sister, what I perceived was being on a cliff, uh, I thought, oh wow, she's about to lose her family. She's about to make a decision that's going to affect her children for the rest of her life. And I've wanted to intervene, and I've wanted to stop her, and I wanted to shake her and say, don't do this. And then I thought, whoa, that's my story.
Yeah.
My story is that I don't want to lose my family, and I don't want to step off of that point of no return, but I can't perceive what's right for her. Maybe she needs that journey. Maybe that lesson is precisely what will propel her towards her perfect destiny. So I can just be there solid in my love for her and say, no matter what, I'm here for you. No matter if you step off the cliff, I'll be underneath waiting with a parachute, with a trampoline. I'm there for you, and I'm not going to shake you or grab you, or I'm not going to try to change your perception or try to fix what I perceive as wrong with you. I am just going to lovingly be there with you, observing and ready when you need my service.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah. Oh, of course, of course. But it's a practice. Every time that I circle up with women, that it's the same practice for me too. Especially since, and maybe some of the other women listening, very often I'm being asked for advice. Like that's why a lot of people reach out to me and pay me, and so I'm constantly okay, and we're fixing and listening, but also strategizing and all of this stuff. So when I come to circle, that's okay. I'm just it's really, really good for me, really good for me. So thank you for sharing all of that. I remember, so I want to share this, that when I reached out to you about having this conversation, the last time we spoke in Facebook Messenger was like 2014. I found you through a Facebook group or something. I really resonated with you, and I saw that your farm's close to where I grew up, and I just felt this connection. And you gave me because I asked how should I start hosting circles, and this was in 2014. And you gave me the best, so generous, but in very gentle, approachable advice on how to start gathering women in my community. So what's kind of the first step for women? I get this question a lot. Do you know of any circles who are gathering? And it's great to do this virtually, but to do it in person is a totally different level, and way better. So if people are watching and they're like, oh, I don't know if I have anything like that, or they're feeling called to start leading something like that, do you have any advice for just those first few times that the women are getting together?
Yeah, this may sound a little hokey, but I like to plant the intention. When I want something, I plant that intention in my heart, and I put it out on how are you going to serve the greater good with it? Ask yourself, what's your intention?
Yes.
Why do you want this? Do you want this because you seek sisterhood? Do you want this because you crave deeper knowledge of women's work? Do you ask yourself what you want from it? Mm-hmm. And that will benefit the greater good. If you're doing it just because you want to participate in a trend, you may find yourself over your head. Find the seed in your heart that tells you why. And for me, I wanted to build. I really cling to the vision of village, of when women would bring each other soup when they were ill, when women would come in and tidy up each other's homes when they had a child. I love the caretaking of the village mentality. Mm-hmm. And so I really wanted to honor that in a circle where these women weren't necessarily best friends of mine. I put that intention in my heart, and then I went out into the world and I said, universe, bring me my circle. Bring me my circle. And be open to who shows up. If it is not who you expect, if it's the woman at the bank, if it's the librarian at your local library and she's older than you or younger than you, or you're intimidated by her, if your antenna goes, I feel something. I feel like she's hungry for sisterhood. I feel like she lingered in our conversation.
Yeah.
that drink that from the well of womanhood, you will find that all of a sudden the universe will bring forward, you'll meet a woman at your yoga class or you'll meet a woman at your lunch who all of a sudden will be like, why don't women gather? Why don't we lean on each other like we used to? Why don't we share recipes? Why don't we support each other? And you'll go, yeah, we need to do that. Are you into that? Do you want to gather? Should we start something up? Start opening up that conversation. Whenever a woman trips that antenna, that sixth sense, bring it up. Go, don't you think we should gather? Don't you think we should have a sacred space like once or twice a month? And if they go, yeah, make that note in your head. Yes, Stacy at yoga is down for circle.
Yeah.
And you get about 4 or 5 women, start the conversation and say, what looks right to you? Do you want to start with a book? You want to all read a book and open up the conversation. I love starting with Women Who Run with the Wolves. Start with a book that gets you talking about the journey we take as women, and let the book open up the circle. Or start with, a monthly, there's some circles who just talk about a different religion for the first couple months. Study Buddhism as a circle, study Islam as a circle, study Jainism, and then talk about it. And you don't have to go right into the Wheel of the Year. If you're intimidated by the heavy things that come up, the ritual, if that intimidates you, if you're afraid to call in the 4 directions because you're shy, start with something that feels possible. Yeah. Start with a tea circle. Start with something that feels like you're comfortable, and get 5 women together and then say, do you know anybody who this would resonate with? And if they go, oh, my sister, or oh, my friend, or oh, this woman I've been talking, let them recruit 2 more people and try to build a nice circle of 10 or 12. And it takes a couple months. It never happens right away.
Yeah, it's never, no. Yeah.
You plant the seed and it slowly forms and it changes shape.
And there might be 3 of you.
Yeah.
Right? And that's okay. That's okay. Like that there just might be a few people in your living room, and that's great. Yeah.
And it will grow. As soon as they leave with that full cup, the first thing they do is go home and tell somebody.
Yeah.
The thing you leave circle and you're like, oh my gosh, everybody needs this. Everybody needs this. I hear that so much. I do closed circles because I crave the deep drink. I talk in circle a lot about the different levels of talk that we share as women. There's like elevator chat where you're just like, how are you? Oh, nice to see you. Take care. And then there's like lunch chat where you're just like, oh, how's school? How's the kids? And then there's like dinner table chat where you go into like, how you doing? And then there's like deathbed chat, which is like, what does your soul desire? How are you sitting in this universe? How are you? How is your heart? That's all I care about. Yeah. I don't ever want to go into the elevator talk. I don't care about all of the mundane day-to-day. I want to know, how's your heart? And so feel like circle is a place to get right in. I set that sacred container. I let women know that we are in our own little universe for the evening. Now tell me, how is your heart? Like, how are you truly? Not what you wear on Facebook, not what you wear to your children or your partner, but how is your spirit at this time? And you can say it. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy and shiny. It can be a hot, soppy mess. And we're okay with that. Yeah. And there's no judgment there. And then we leave without feeling like, oh, she's broken, or oh, we all better check in on her. There's moments. We all have moments of feeling like it's all falling apart. And then the next day you wake up and it's a beautiful sunrise and you go, oh, phew, that was a rough moment. Yeah. So you just need a safe place to sometimes say, shit's crazy, and then be able to know that they love you through it and that nobody's going to hold you to that. No one's going to call a counselor and go, oh my gosh, she's crazy. You can drum all night long in circle and leave and feel like you dumped 10 years of trauma on that yoga studio floor, and you can wake up the next day and feel refreshed. Yeah. And that to me is an important part of being a woman, is being able to have those highs and lows, being able to travel through the dark and light spots that we all encounter without judgment. Without someone saying, oh, she doesn't have her shit together because she cried in circle. No, the circle is the place to cry. Circle is a place to dump it all on the floor and let it go because nobody is going to think any less of you. We've all been there.
We've all been there.
Yes.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Shelly, Queen Bee. Queen Bee right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, what a beautiful way to start off our day. I'm like, oh, yes. I feel good, sister. I feel good. I want to like get on the phone with my girlfriends right now. So thank you. Oh yeah.
All day, Katie.
Well, yeah, I would encourage everyone to look into this, look into community and make it a bigger part. I can get a bit, so I work from home and a lot of what I'm doing is online, and that's a great space. But what we're talking about, this is so important, this community aspect, and, being able to feel like I know where the stuff in my friend's kitchen is if I need to go over and help her out, and she it's all really something I'm glad we're speaking to, because we need to make sure that that's still alive and still yeah, and we're still carrying that on. So thank you for your time and sharing your beautiful, beautiful heart with us today. I feel really happy that you joined us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. If I could just one last time encourage women to follow that one thread of connection. In every woman that you encounter, say, what do we share?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, what will she judge me about? Say, what do we share? If she has on a beautiful colored scarf and you love that color, automatically say, we share something.
Yeah.
We share a thread. And then take that thread like a spinning wheel and start pulling it and see if you focus on the things we share, you'll find such a fast connection. Your web of community will build so much quicker if you don't go, oh, well, she's a Republican, or, oh, she doesn't believe in the same religion. If you go, yeah, but look she shows up for her family every day, and I show up for my family every day. We share that love of family. And you I always tell women, at the end of the day, when there's a crisis, none of that matters.
Right.
When a sister in danger, you don't ask, before I help you, before I save your life, what's your political affiliation? You just connect from that level of heart. So follow the thread of sisterhood in every woman that you meet and watch how quickly women will show up for you, and women want to be around, and women want to be in your space, because it feels good to know that you're looking for connection and you're not looking for separation or difference.
Absolutely.
Recently, one of my cousins is having a child, and she doesn't have all the things that she needs to prepare. And so I just put out in the community, does anybody have any baby stuff that they don't need anymore? And the way women responded, and the huge response that came, and all of the donations that were made, she was moved to tears. And she was so grateful, and I felt like that's how it's supposed to be. You see a woman who needs something for her child, and you don't ask, why doesn't she have enough? What's she doing to be responsible for that baby? You don't judge. You just go, here, take, I have this to give. And it opens up a heart space that's unimaginable. It makes you feel like we can do anything together if we focus on our common thread instead of looking at what differences we share. So if that's the message that came through today, is to follow that sisterhood thread all the way home.
Absolutely. It's such an important one. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for driving it home. That's I'm so touched. So thank you. I am almost a little bit speechless right now, because this is good medicine to share, Shelly. Really, really good.
Oh,
thank you so much for your time.
It was an honor. I feel really, really flattered that you wanted to speak with me. So thank you.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. And especially when it was so perfect when I opened up, Messenger, and I was like, oh, what did we talk about in 2014? And it was women's circles. Which was, and so you planted that seed in me so many years, not so many, but just it seems like a very long time ago to me. Come a long way since
Yeah.
then. And so, just giving me that confidence is, yeah, you can gather women and here's how you don't need a lot, but here's how you do it. And it was really, and felt like, okay, I can do that. And then from there, yeah, and here we are now. And just such a beautiful, it was such a beautiful reminder of how, yes, planting those seeds along the way and getting these conversations started and, getting, even if it's just a few women to come over to your house to have tea, that's a great start. That's a great start. And it can turn, it can grow into something more if that's what you want. So thank you. Thank you for that and all of your encouragement and sharing your time and wisdom with us today. Yeah, you're welcome.